Now, we have three Sinn Féin speakers, Deputy John Brady, Deputy Denise Mitchell and Deputy Donnacha O'Leary. You're sharing equal time?
Sharing equal time.
Thank you, Deputy.
Whilst I welcome the paternity leave and benefit bill, it has also to be said that it has been a very, very long time coming, but Sinn Féin genuinely do welcome it. Paternity leave is something that Sinn Féin have consistently called for year on year. Indeed, I recall my colleague Deputy Caoimhín O'Quailon standing up in this chamber back in 2005 calling on the government of the day to address the imbalance in family life and to introduce paternity leave. And here we are 11 years later, finally we're making moves towards it. It is simply not good enough for the government to introduce paternity leave, pat yourselves on the back and leave it at that. There is a crisis in childcare that goes much further than this bill, and it needs to be tackled. This bill can only be a starting point in the development of better childcare and better maternity leave, paternity leave and parental leave. Ultimately, caring leave entitlements and childcare policies must be driven by a vision of the kind of society we want to create. Current leave entitlements in both the 6 and the 26 counties are considerably less than what is available to workers elsewhere in Europe. Ireland has been identified as an example of worst practice in the EU when it comes to parental leave rights. It lags far behind other member states in the EU when it comes to maternity leave, paternity leave and parental leave. The 26 weeks of paid maternity leave that new mothers in this state are entitled to is paid at a low flat rate, and it is one of the lowest levels of payment in the EU. €230 per week for mothers to remain at home from work is simply not enough, and it is leading to hardship for parents. With that, any entitlement to full paid maternity leave is subject to contract. There is no obligation on employers to pay above the standard rate, leaving many women in the private sector facing a sheer drop in income during their leave. And this has to change, Minister. The government needs to look at an increase in the rate of maternity benefit paid to all mothers to avail of their leave without financial strain. The government should work to extend maternity leave by 6 weeks and allow that portion to be taken by either parent at the end of the current 26 weeks maternity leave, as well as introducing 52 weeks of paid maternity or parental leave. In Norway, for example, and I know other members of new fathers are entitled to up to 10 weeks' leave, with many other jurisdictions having generous leave entitlements for fathers in order to ensure that it is not just women who are solely responsible for childcare. Up to now, here under the current law, if a man wants to take time following the birth of his child, he must do so out of current annual leave entitlements or leave without pay. This is unfair, as it only favours high-income workers. It is of no value to low-income families for whom it would be impossible to forgo income for the duration of the leave, especially when they have had a baby and they meet the extra costs of this. According to the OECD, Ireland has the highest childcare costs in the EU. Nothing has been done to tackle this, and introducing paternity leave will not address this issue, which has been ongoing and ignored by government for years. Leave entitlements for parents and carers must be designed to enable workers to take time off work when they need to do so in order to carry out caring duties without forcing them out of the workforce. Across the European Union, childcare costs around 12% of the family's income, but in Ireland it accounts to nearly 35%. With this, government has taken away the lone parent allowance and expects lone parents to find employment while paying these massive costs of childcare on a reduced income. It really makes no sense whatsoever, Minister. The reality is that while childcare costs are so high, many women are forced into precarious, low-paid jobs or are unable to work at all. Sinn Féin strongly supports the introduction of statutory rights to flexible working arrangements, which can play a key role in enabling workers to balance work with family and other responsibilities, thereby significantly enhancing workers' quality of life. Flexible work entitlements should further enable parents of children under the age of 12 to care for their children in the preschool school hours if they wish to do so. And Sinn Féin has long campaigned for at least 2 weeks paid paternity leave for fathers when the child is born. The absence of paternity leave to date has been a stain on successive governments' parental policy. This new bill should be implemented immediately, as proposed in Sinn Féin's Budget 2016 submission for a fairer recovery. This bill and the introduction of 2 weeks paid paternity leave is crucial in developing Ireland's parental leave practices. We note that the National Women's Council of Ireland, Start Strong and the Irish Congress of Trade Unions have called for this for years. However, it must not be taken that the job is done once this bill goes through. There must be a wider approach, a much wider approach, to organise leave and tackle the childcare crisis that does exist right across this state.
Thank you, Deputy.